Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Killswitch Engage drummer Justin Foley to the podcast. Justin has a new project called Lybica, who recently released their self-titled debut on Metal Blade Records. Lybica is a great post-rock record for fans of Russian Circles, Celeste, and Pelican, to name a few. Make sure you check the record out. A link is in the show notes. Justin talks about the Connecticut hardcore scene, how relationships led him to joining Killswitch, writing music through the pandemic, his love for cats, and more. Killswitch is currently on tour with Lamb of God through the end of October, so if they're hitting your town, go see them live. Enjoy today's chat with Justin Foley. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. How's tour?
It's going. It's plugging along.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This is not your first tour, but how has life been this go around in the, I guess, COVID accepted world? A little more comfortable every time you go out, or?
It's definitely much more normal. This is the first tour that we've done without restrictions and everything. So we've actually been able to see some friends and hang out like a lot more of a normal person this time around, which is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm stoked to talk to you about this new record. That's why you're here. Is it weird promoting a project that's not Killswitch, either from just you are now the focal point and the person people want to talk to, or more so than maybe Killswitch, or is it just this is just how it goes?
Yeah, I guess that's how it goes, but it is just sort of, it's interesting. Because no one wants to talk to drummers really, which is fine. Everyone wants singers, but we don't have one. So I guess where do you go from there?
Right. Yeah. I want to talk about this new project, but you've never been on this podcast, so let's talk about your history. Sure. What got you into music?
I don't know. It's so long ago. I just sort of I don't know where it all started. As long as I can remember, I just had some different instruments, I think first, I played viola for a year when I was in grade school, and then trumpet after that for a while, probably 4 years or so before starting to play drums. So I don't know how it started or where it really came from. But it's just sort of always been around for so long now.
Nice. Were you a band geek?
I guess, but I wasn't really, I don't know, I wasn't in bands for a couple of years at the beginning of high school, and I was at the end of high school when it was on drums. So, I suppose.
Yeah.
Was everybody in it is a geek to some extent? But.
Yeah. What was the scene that you got into in the New England area when you started getting into hardcore and metal?
It was pretty great. There were tons of shows all over the place. Everybody was in a band. Everybody knew everybody. Everyone was helping everybody out. It wasn't really, I didn't think it was very competitive or anything. It's just everybody had music that they wanted to play, and everyone wanted to help each other play music for other people. So people had tons of shows, basements, and just wherever you could get people together in a room. So it was really cool. There was really no shortage of places to play, no shortage of bands to see. And it was also cool living, fairly close to a couple different, big areas like Boston, New York.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, almost directly in between both of them. So it was cool. Everybody, we were very lucky in that regard that everybody always came through. It was, a place that everybody went to. So Connecticut got tons of shows. So
that's awesome. it seemed, maybe because I'm older and not in it as much, but it was much different and much more just like, hey, there's a show and any local bands can get on that want to back in the day.
Yeah, I hope that still happens. I'm definitely out of touch with local scenes, but I definitely want to believe that there are still all kinds of awesome basement shows, DIY stuff going on.
Yeah,
I hope it never goes away.
How did Red Tide get started?
High school. That was my high school bands. What the guitar player was actually, speaking of band geeks, he wasn't much of a geek, but he was a saxophone player in the band too. So, I actually remember going over and like the first time I played with him, and he said, "Can you play a thrash beat?" And I said, "Which one? The Anthrax?" And then went, got to, with the snares on a downbeat. I said, "Or a Slayer." Do that. And his face just like lit up. Like, wow, he knows both thrash beats. And then we just kind of went from there.
That's awesome. How'd you end up getting connected with Blood Has Been Shed?
Kind of just from the same way everybody just sort of knew everyone, just through shows. I don't remember exactly how I ended up meeting Corey, but I'm pretty sure it had to be at some show where we were both playing. Must have been what it was.
Gotcha. Was that kind of similar to the transition into Killswitch? It's like Howard joined and then it was like, hey, I know this drummer and we need a drummer now.
That's exactly what happened. It was just sort of, they had a need and I was just there. So I just sort of fell right into it.
What was that transition like going into Killswitch, because they were really exploding at the time?
It was the first time I did an extended tour and got to really play every day, and it was cool. I'd done really short tours before that, which was great, but this was a whole different thing. It was like an operation kind of, and even then, compared to what it is now, it was still smallish. I mean, they just started. I think the tour before that one was the first one they ever had a bus for. So it was still just, it wasn't like the guaranteed massive thing. It was just we were just kind of making music and hoping people liked it. But it was cool that I got to do it that much, do like a big tour, and see a lot of places I'd never seen before.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a weird time where I remember seeing the Fixation on the Darkness video on like MTV2 and being like, whoa, what is happening?
Yeah, and MTV2 was like Headbangers Ball was back then, which is pretty cool. A lot of things came together that definitely helped out.
Yeah. Is it weird being viewed as like the grandfathers or whatever of like American metalcore?
You definitely feel pretty old. Bones are creaky and joints are sore. I have no idea. It's just kind of always been doing what we're doing, and thankfully people are into it still.
What was the transition like for you guys with Howard choosing to leave and Jesse coming back in on vocals?
Made a lot of sense as soon as we played with Jesse together. It just felt, we were just like, this is going to work. This is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, just natural.
Yeah, it just felt right.
What was the transition away from Roadrunner to Metal Blade with Atonement?
Great. I mean, Metal Blade is pretty awesome label. It's pretty epic stuff. Really just like a flagship metal label.
Yeah.
And we also known Brian for years and years, just from him just coming out and just being a fan of the band and hanging out. So it was pretty easy, cool, and we were all super like honored, really, that they wanted us to be on the label.
What's been the perspective? Have you guys changed any of the way you promote or view the recording cycles with like the rise of streaming and social media, and like how much that impacts music and promotion these days?
We probably should a little more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot different. Touring, it's still kind of similar as far as having a record and like doing kind of a touring cycle on it and everything. But you sort of need to put more music out there, rather than, I don't know, it's weird. It seems counterintuitive to how you would think it would be, because people can discover music so easily now and literally have every song ever written in the palm of their hands. But you still, it seems like more so you need to sort of push stuff out there so people hear it, rather than just like listening to a record. Okay, well, here's like half the record. Now listen to the rest of it.
Yeah. I don't know if it was like that kind of process when you guys released Atonement, but is it weird to like focus so much on this record and this order and like these are the song structures and your Killswitch Engage, like people know you, but it's still like, all right, you got to release 5 singles before the album comes out, and like this 6 months promotion.
Yeah, it's a long time, and this has just been a little weird anyway since that record came out. Months before the pandemic, so it was sort of an interrupted, bizarre cycle to begin with, just because of all that.
Yeah, I was going to say that record came out August 2019, and then by March the whole world went. Yeah. What was that like for you guys? Were you in the midst of a tour or getting ready?
We were 2 days into our tour, with tour, which was the one with Light the Torch too. So luckily we got to reschedule that whole thing to the shows with Howard, which was pretty fun.
Yeah,
really, really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, how did COVID affect you? Obviously, you put your time and attention into this side project. What was the shutdown like for you?
I think it was pretty scary, just not knowing what was happening, and there was a minute there where it seemed like pretty uncertain that live music or shows, it was hard to imagine people getting in a room and sweating on each other being a thing again, because everything that was going on. So yeah, I didn't know what was going to come about of anything really. But I just started writing all this other music and playing a bunch of guitar, and got together with Joey and Doug, and before we knew it, we had a record done, which is pretty cool.
What led you to start writing on guitar? Was it just like something to keep your mind busy, or had you always wanted to do a project?
I don't know about always wanted, but I've just written a bunch of stuff on guitar over the years anyway. I brought it to Killswitch guys, like just demoed, that's just how it was going. I just kind of had a bunch of music that I wasn't sure where it was going to kind of fit in. I knew it wasn't really going to be Killswitch material, so I'm just sitting on some stuff, and I just had this idea that it just kind of be fun. I just thought it'd be fun. It'd be fun to play guitar, just get a totally different perspective on being in a band, playing with other people and listening, and just all of that. I thought it's a pretty fun thing to do. So I sort of I sent some of the stuff to the guys And we'd kind of kicked around the idea of just getting together, like musicians do when they hang out. Like, hey, we should play together sometime or whatever. And now is the time. So just said, hey guys, if you intend anything like this, it's a sound like stuff that you'd be down to do, and they were, and we just started getting together, and it was a lot different being on guitar. And Doug's a drummer also, and he decided he wanted to play bass. So sort of like the two of us were almost like learning new instruments at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is fun, but it was definitely different. And plus, we didn't have a drummer for so long, even though we had drummers laying around. So we just kind of were practicing to the drum tracks from the demos and everything before we eventually finally found Chris.
That's awesome. Were you already listening to like post-rock or post-metal that was inspiring the sound and direction of the band?
Yeah, absolutely. For a long time. I really dig that stuff a lot. So that kind of, I guess I was part of it too. It's just thinking I want to try this. I wonder if I could do that.
Yeah. So the pronunciation, Lybica?
Lybica.
Lybica.
Okay. Either way, people call it whatever they want. It's
fine. Where'd the inspiration for that name come from?
Loving our love of cats, basically. All a bunch of cat lovers. So. Wanted to try to name it something cat-like. And it's pretty cool. I like it. I dig it. It's an interesting looking word. I like it. I think it looks good. Looks good on a record cover.
Yeah, it's like abstract enough, and if someone Googles it, they're like, "Oh, okay." And then you see the cat on the album cover. Is that your cat?
It's one of Joey's cats.
Okay. That's awesome. How'd you get connected with Metal Blade? Yeah, I mean, Killswitch was on Metal Blade. Was it just like a contractual thing where you have a project and you bring it to them, or were you just like, hey, I have this other thing?
Yeah, it was mostly like that. I just sort of was telling our managers, our management team about this. They were just interested. They're like, oh, cool, send us whatever the demos sound like. And I did, and then they started talking, using the word we when they were talking, and I was like, does that mean you guys want to get involved? And they're like, oh yeah, we love it. We want to do this. I'm like, all right, cool. Send it out. And I had no idea if, because we had recorded, just done the record on our own, and then after that shopped it, and I didn't know who or if anyone was going to be interested, or if it was going to be like self-released or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it to be like favor or anything from Metal Blade. I wanted it to be put out by somebody that really believed in the band and wanted to back it and support it. And they absolutely were. They were into it. I thought, okay, cool, that's amazing. So that's how that worked out.
I know it's instrumental music, but is there anything you wanted to like try to reflect and get across in like the song titles and the vibes of the songs?
That's hard to put it in words, I guess.
Okay.
It's probably why there aren't any words. I'm not very good with words. I don't know. Naming the song titles were a lot trickier than you'd expect because we didn't know lyrics to kind of pull from. So they're almost like more vibey. Joey and Doug are a lot better at naming songs than I am. But I don't know. I just think the whole thing just has its own kind of mood.
Yeah.
Whatever that is what we're going for.
Yeah. Are you guys planning on doing a tour, trying to hit the road after Killswitch is done?
We very much want to tour.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'd love to tour. So we're trying to work that out, just trying to get some stuff together. But yeah, definitely.
That's cool. Killswitch released the Atonement B-sides on Bandcamp for one Bandcamp Friday, I believe, in there. And then you guys did the live album. Is that just like trying to get people to remember Atonement for these tours and just like pump some life back in? Like, hey, we got these new songs.
Well, the show at the Palladium for tour was like something to do. Like, needed to do something because we couldn't tour still and everything. So that was definitely a lot of people started doing those shows, which was pretty cool because you could. It was like they were just sort of bringing the tour or big show to you because you couldn't go out and actually physically see anybody play. So yeah, it's kind of where that came from. Making sure that the record didn't get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. Has the live response since you went back out? I know with a lot of bands, smaller bands and clubs, like now that shows are back, people, at least that first year, people were like absolutely losing their shit for like live shows. Has it been the same for you guys? Or are you just noticing like a re-intensity of just like people stoked to be seeing live music again and not taking it for granted?
Yeah, I think so. I think that first tour we did with Slipknot was pretty awesome. And it just felt good on our end too to actually be together and playing again. So yeah, I definitely get it. There's just a lot of energy. Everybody's kind of feeding off each other. And, we get to do this again. It was pretty fun. Yeah.
This year is rapidly coming to a close. You guys are currently out on tour. You're doing anything else as Killswitch the rest of 2022, or are you just looking? Is it back to the writing process? And
yeah, I think this is probably going to be it for shows the rest of this tour, and then we'll probably get some ideas together and kick that around and see where that goes.
Nice. I just heard you on the Metalcore Nerds podcast, and I know you mentioned South Park and Family Guy are your like tour bus staples, but anything else like musically or that you're reading that's been like keeping you going lately?
I don't think so. Yeah, no, not so much really. I'm glad it's busy. It's like good busy. I have something new to talk about. Thanks, very thankful for people like obviously like you, like wanting to talk about the new band. So it's great.
I think the record's incredible. It'll definitely be on my end of the year list. So
well, the cover's great. I know that.
The cover's phenomenal. Yeah. So it's always like a great, like, I don't know. I used to go record shopping and I still do this on Bandcamp where you like flip through and you look for covers that like inspire you, or sometimes you're just like, that cover's ridiculous. I'm going to listen to that record. And like your band kind of falls in that. Why is there a cat on here? Let me listen to this.
Cool.
Great. And then you listen to music and you're like, okay, the music works. And even if the cover's silly, like, okay. Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never thought